In Xiamen, the situation for grassroots civil servants is dire. Every year, their salaries are cut. It used to be that earning 10,000 was no problem, but now, after paying the housing fund, I'm left with only 5 or 6,000. I can only ride a small electric scooter to work, and my car at home rarely gets fueled. When I go out with colleagues or bosses for a meal, I have to think about which platform might save me some money. I heard that in Foshan, even civil servants can't hold on anymore. Salaries are generally being reduced, and there's even layoffs. The so-called iron rice bowls can't pay wages now. Yesterday at lunch, I was with a friend who complained it's really bad in his area. The unit has no money to pay salaries. This is the reality for civil servants in Guangdong, he said. We all need to eat, take care of our families, and there's still car loans and mortgage loans. The pressure is huge. At a time when private enterprises are constantly going bankrupt, China's so-called iron rice bowl jobs are also facing salary cuts and layoffs. This year, the salary cuts for civil servants began in Zhejiang province. According to a relative of a civil servant, Yao Lin, who spoke to the foreign media, since 2025, civil servant salaries in the area have been reduced again. He said his relative is an ordinary section chief, and this year they saw a salary cut of 50 to 60,000 yuan. Middle-level leaders are seeing an even bigger drop in income. Although the workplace still covers Social Security and health insurance, the overall burden has clearly increased. Mr. Xue, a civil servant in Hangzhou who's about to retire, said he had hoped to delay his retirement to increase his pension. However, his income has actually decreased. 3 years ago, when he didn't retire, his salary was higher, but now his take-home pay has dropped, and his pension, which he had expected to be around 6 or 7,000 yuan, is now only about 4,000. Mr. Zheng from Zhejiang said that civil servants in the province are generally included in the salary reduction plan. His friend, a civil servant, had a salary reduction of 80 to 100,000 yuan for positions at the department level, and even more for higher levels. The Zhejiang Provincial Department of Finance's 2024 budget shows that income from the transfer of state-owned land use rights fell by about a quarter compared to the previous year, leading to corresponding cuts in related fiscal expenditures. This is seen as the main cause of this round of cuts. According to financial data, the Zhejiang Provincial Department of Finance reported in May that the general public budget revenue grew by only 0.2% year-on-year, while tax revenue decreased by 0.3%, and non-tax revenue increased by 1.8%. The report states that the growth in non-tax revenue mainly comes from fines and other items, with some income retained by grassroots governments to strengthen local fiscal capacity. Some analysts believe that the salary cuts for civil servants are not isolated measures, but reflect a shift in local fiscal models. Mr. Hong, a senior media person in Zhejiang, said that in the past, local finances were overly dependent on land transfers and central government transfers. Once the real estate market slowed down, local governments have had to cut administrative expenditures. Mr. Li, a scholar in Guangdong, also pointed out that civil servant salary adjustments are happening nationwide. The central government has long proposed tightening belts, and now it's being implemented at the local level. He believes that the push to reduce administrative costs signals a deep warning about the unsustainability of the traditional fiscal model. Observers have noted that civil servant salary cuts are becoming a barometer for local fiscal adjustments and are intensifying anxiety among grassroots civil servants. As the policy continues, its long-term effects on the stability and efficiency of the civil servant workforce are worth ongoing attention. Besides Zhejiang, salary reductions have also been observed in Shandong, Guangdong, and other places. Ms. Zhang from Weifang City in Shandong said that since last year, some counties and cities in the area have been issuing discounted salaries to civil servants, paying only 70 to 80% of their wages. Some units have even canceled transportation subsidies, leaving only the basic salary. Many people are now only getting 3 to 4,000 yuan, which puts a huge strain on their lives. Mr. Geng from Qingdao, Shandong, said that his relative works as a civil servant in a county. He heard that some township official salaries have been cut, with wages only paid at 70% and delayed. Now, the county's finances are also running low, and the police at the local station have seen a reduction in benefits. On June 15th, a blogger exposed the financial difficulties of a county-level government. The blogger's cousin, a deputy division-level official, said that in the past 2 years, no land has been sold in the county, and many real estate projects have been stalled. The county's finances are heavily in debt and have not yet recovered. They haven't been able to pay the office rental costs from last August, and her business trip expenses still haven't been reimbursed after 6 months. In the past, state-owned enterprises and central enterprises were seen as the epitome of job security. However, now even these giants are reducing salaries and laying off staff. In fact, nearly every household in China is now tightening its belt. One blogger revealed that even China's tobacco system has been cutting jobs and salaries. This is a major state-owned enterprise, widely known for its high salaries, excellent benefits, and low work intensity. However, a friend working in the tobacco industry told the blogger that recently the company is cutting positions and reducing staff, and even tobacco isn't as attractive anymore.
A major state-owned giant, a certain China Railways Bureau, is in deep trouble. They kicked off with massive layoffs, then slashed everyone's pay by 2,000 yuan a month. Shockingly, out of 1,500 workers, 900 are now stuck at home, scraping by on bare minimum subsidies. If a powerhouse like China Railway is barely hanging on, think about how brutal it is for small and medium-sized businesses. Anyone in engineering knows it's a domino effect. No new projects upstream and downstream, materials, procurement, equipment rentals, labor subcontractors, everything takes a hit. Project payments are crawling in, and cash flow could snap any moment. That's how so many companies are getting crushed. Now in Kuching, even state-owned enterprises can't pay salaries anymore. A client from a state-owned enterprise complained to me that many bonuses and benefits are gone, and salaries are continuously delayed. Since early last year, they've only been paid 4 times, but car loans and mortgages won't wait. Their credit cards are maxed out, and they just can't keep up anymore.
A blogger working for a central enterprise in Beijing said that their company is reducing salaries too, and they never expected this from a central enterprise. On the first day of work in 2025, they received the salary adjustment notice. The blogger works in the construction industry, and since 2024, due to the general economic downturn, the company's performance has been declining, and collections have been difficult. The year-end performance bonus was minimal. She joined the company in 2017, and for nearly 8 years, despite many friends and classmates facing unemployment and layoffs, her company was relatively stable with good benefits, but she never expected the first day of 2025 would bring such a blow. She said the company released a job-level announcement. Overall, this year's salary consists of 2 parts, fixed wages and performance wages. The performance wages depend on the progress of project payments. If there are no payments, there will be no performance bonuses. The fixed wage is based on Beijing's minimum wage, plus additional wages based on her job level, among other factors. She described it as a little joke from fate. With over 5,000 yuan in rent to pay, plus a large mortgage, her family's monthly expenses now total at least 20,000 yuan. The sudden salary reduction has really left her feeling overwhelmed. Another blogger mentioned that layoffs aren't as scary as being laid off by a state-owned enterprise. People who join state-owned enterprises often believe they can work there safely until retirement. They never imagine that state-owned enterprises can go bankrupt or lay off employees. They are completely unprepared, so they end up being the hardest hit. A blogger shared a story about a friend, a 36-year-old master's graduate from a top university, who was laid off by a state-owned enterprise. Afterward, he sent resumes to dozens of companies but received no opportunities. The master's graduate had worked for a local state-owned enterprise in a second-tier city in the office equipment industry. The core technologies in this industry have always been controlled by US and Japanese companies. The state-owned enterprise had weak competitiveness, and its product prices were low, which led to low profits. In 2023, this state-owned enterprise had already laid off employees twice, and in 2024, it started reducing salaries, paying only the minimum wage. Now the company has laid off employees again, and this graduate was one of those who were let go. A social media personality in Jiangsu also revealed that he had worked for a large state-owned enterprise with nearly 10,000 employees for over 8 years, but he was also laid off. No matter how excellent you are or how high your education is, if you don't have strong connections or aren't good at flattering leadership, they'll lay you off without hesitation. After being laid off, he couldn't find a job and didn't dare tell his family back in the Northeast that he was unemployed. He's been living off savings ever since. A mid-level manager at a state-owned bank in Guangdong said their company has reduced salaries for 2 consecutive years, with a total cut of nearly 30%. A lawyer close to the police system also mentioned that some police officers in Guangdong have seen their annual salaries drop from 300,000 yuan to 200,000 yuan, while ordinary grassroots civil servants now earn only 3,000 yuan a month. A mid-level employee at a state-owned bank in Guangdong also revealed that their salary had been reduced by 30% over the past 2 years, with performance bonuses almost completely cut. In this wave of layoffs and salary cuts, the salary reductions at China Railway Shanghai Engineering Bureau Group have recently attracted a lot of attention. Recently, a notice stamped with the China Railway official seal was circulated online. The notice states that starting June 1st of this year, the entire group and its subordinate units will suspend all performance-based pay and rewards. It will only provide basic salaries and some allowances. For internal employees who are not categorized as either basic salary or performance salary recipients, including those on temporary or idle positions, they will receive only 40% of their regular salary according to the current pay standards. The notice also warned that any unit failing to implement these measures would be criticized, and those responsible would be held accountable. An employee from China Railway Shanghai Engineering Bureau believes that this is effectively a disguised layoff. When asked by netizens if state-owned enterprises would lay off employees, the employee responded, "When you can't even pay your mortgage, do they still need to lay you off?" He also mentioned that despite everything, he still wouldn't dare to quit, as the overall job market is tough. Some people say that state-owned enterprises with China in their names are also laying off employees, and salary cuts are just a way to force employees to resign, so that the company doesn't have to pay compensation. These state-owned enterprises have mastered the art of suspension, cuts, and encouraging resignation. Other private companies are simply copying this model. Others pointed out that the entire construction industry in China is facing significant challenges, and this incident is just a snapshot of the sector's difficulties. Now, even central enterprises are cutting salaries so drastically, which shows just how hard it is for companies to survive. A blogger analyzed that the China Railway Shanghai Engineering Bureau is among the top in the construction system. For years, it has been known for its financial strength and has been involved in the most profitable and quickly settled railway construction projects. Now, even they are issuing basic wages. In Shanghai, a monthly salary of 2,000 to 3,000 yuan is not enough to cover basic living expenses. The fact that China Railway Shanghai Bureau has fallen to this point is truly unimaginable, but not entirely unexpected. As early as May, there were reports that China Construction's 2348 Bureau had suspended salaries. Industry insiders did not deny this, and salaries are being pieced together every month due to delayed project payments. The downturn in the real estate industry has had a profound and lasting impact on the entire construction sector. An article on NetEase pointed out that this event is not isolated, but rather a reflection of the construction industry's overall struggles. The article emphasized that the construction industry has been facing immense challenges in recent years, with many construction units and design institutes sinking into the crisis of unpaid wages, salary cuts, and layoffs, with some even going bankrupt. Now even state-owned enterprises are cutting salaries drastically just to survive. A netizen lamented that among all provinces in China, only Shanghai's finances still show a surplus, and now even Shanghai is experiencing this. China's economy really seems beyond saving. Last year, Xinhua News Agency reported that in September 2024, Wang Hongzhi, the Deputy Director of the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission of the State Council, stated that state-owned enterprises must make greater efforts in competitive appointments, bottom-tier adjustments, and removing incompetent employees. By 2025, state-owned enterprises are required to fully implement bottom-tier adjustment and incompetent employee exit systems. The State-Owned Asset Supervision and Administration Commission's measures have sparked intense online debate. On X, some users commented, "The wave of layoffs in state-owned enterprises is repeating history. After 2 years, it will be clear that those who were laid off were the real workers, while those who stayed were the ones with leadership connections. Such reforms only shift the system's issues onto ordinary workers, exposing the ugliness of power under this policy." Li Qiang, the head of the New York-based labor organization China Labor Watch, told Radio Free Asia that civil servants and employees in central enterprises have long had stable positions, which are the foundation of the ruling regime. Now, with implementing the bottom-tier adjustment approach to eliminate these civil servants, it shows that China is facing economic problems. Otherwise, the government wouldn't be tampering with this area. This could potentially extend to other sectors related to China's state-owned assets. As we mentioned earlier, state-owned enterprises and central governments are already facing such dire situations. We've already discussed the private sector extensively. With shrinking incomes and unemployment, people's purchasing power naturally drops, and China's worsening economic conditions will continue to intensify.
You won't believe what's happening in Shanghai right now. Big companies are slashing jobs, cutting pay, and restructuring, while small businesses are teetering on the edge of bankruptcy or bleeding money. Just today at lunch, my buddy told me he and his wife are packing up to head back to their hometown. That might have been our last meal together here. I was stunned and asked how they'd adjust after all these years in Shanghai. He said they can't even afford a hot pot anymore. Their 7,000 or 8,000 yuan monthly mortgage is suffocating them. People online keep saying folks are refusing to spend out of spite, but that's nonsense. Most people's wallets are emptier than their faces. Those stats you see about incomes in the tens of thousands, they're skewed, dragging people like me into the average. Truth is, between the mortgage and daily expenses, There's not a single yuan left by month's end. That's the reality we're living in.
Radio Free Asia reported that Mr. Meng, a resident from Shandong, said that although the government is trying to stimulate domestic demand, the wave of salary cuts has led to a shrinkage in household incomes, severely suppressing consumption power. Price wars have become the last struggle for many small businesses. For instance, good quality pork ribs are sold for only 24 yuan per kilogram, while the purchase price for live pigs is only a few yuan. Pork prices are plummeting, and restaurants are desperately offering discounts to survive. This isn't competition, it's mutual destruction. Ms. Su, a resident of Haijian, Beijing, is also worried. She said that small supermarkets are slashing prices and are afraid they'll go out of business within a few months. She observed a significant reduction in daily consumption, starting with brand switching and reducing the number of gatherings and entertainment. Now, her family dines out only once a week on Saturdays, with her son, daughter-in-law, and grandson going to a nearby restaurant, whereas they used to go 2 to 3 times a week. Jiangsu economist Wu Qingxue analyzed that salary cuts in state-owned enterprises, the shutdown of private businesses, and vicious competition among merchants all indicate that local government finances are continuously deteriorating. He said, the government has no money to manage people, and the public is unwilling to spend. From salary cuts within the system to the collapse of consumer spending among ordinary people, society is quietly forming a top-down austerity chain. Salary reductions for civil servants are just the beginning. The real issue is that the public has lost its consumption power, businesses have lost their development confidence, and the entire society's economic imagination is shrinking. Internal competition, deflation, salary cuts, and cautious consumption seem to have become key terms describing China's economic situation. Wu Qingxue warned, tightening our belts is bearable if it's just a slogan, but if it becomes the norm, society's resilience and confidence will truly face a severe test.